Let's move on now to the Houston Texans in our training camp preview series, where we go over the top stories that we feel are going to be most important to watch throughout the entire Texans training camp. But before we do that, if you have not already, hit that subscribe button and also ring the bell to get notified when we create new content. We are doing a training camp preview for all 32 teams. And so if you want to see the other top stories to watch that the Texans will be playing against, especially the teams in the AFC South, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell. And Ryan, let's get into it here.
Let's do it.
The top story kind of intertwines with CJ Stroud a little bit, but for me, I think the top story to watch in the Texans training camp is who is he going to throw to? Because there are a lot of common names here that we all know, especially if you've been following throughout the 2023 offseason and pre-draft stuff, and also just the draft in general on who the Texans selected. But none of those names scare you. You know, Nico Collins right now, I have slated as their number one receiver. They did also sign Robert Woods, but Robert Woods has just been a kind of journeyman receiver who can go and get you 500 yards, you know, just because he's just a consistent guy. But then they also got Noah Brown as well. John Mechie, who they drafted last year, is now, last I checked, fully recovered from.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it sounds like he'll be ready for training camp.
It'll be awesome to see him out there. What does he bring to the table? Because he had a great career at Alabama. But then also the two rookie receivers that they drafted, Xavier Hutchinson and also Tank Dell as well, who, if I'm not mistaken, CJ Stroud wanted specifically. So he really liked working with him. So that to me is going to be, because obviously CJ Stroud development, I think that's an obvious one. But I think who he becomes buddy with, who he just instantly clicks with. Sounds like
who becomes his big
one of the.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
What I like to say.
Yeah. And then even then, as the season progresses, then who's going to be the guy that turns into CJ Stroud? Okay, he's my go-to guy. Like 3rd and 7, we need a first down. Who's the guy I'm looking at first immediately? Is it going to be Nico? Is it going to be Tank? Is it going to be Robert Woods? You know, because he just relies on the veteran.
John Mechie. One guy that you left out was Dalton Schultz. He'll be a part of that group. And that is, to me, I think, where they're going in terms of wide receiver talent, is they're shifting maybe away from like, all right, we need like one elite guy and then like a complementary piece, right? Where they're going with like, okay, maybe we need 4 or 5 complementary wide receiver, tight end, duo. You know, we're just going to say pass catchers. Pass catchers, yeah. They need 4 or 5 different pass catchers that they like, that they can play in different matchups and whatnot. And I think maybe, and then shifting guys around, different formations, keeping defense on their toes, not letting them hone in on one single target, right? I think that's probably where they're trying to go. It is a little bit concerning because you do see a lot of these guys like Josh Allen, for example. Josh Allen was good in Buffalo, but he wasn't great until he had Stephon Diggs, right? Mm-hmm. Joe Burrow, similar thing, but it was only for 1 year, and he was still pretty good his rookie season. But then it was like he took a huge step forward when they got Jamar Chase. They made it all the way to the Super Bowl in Jamar Chase's rookie year. So, like, that to me is, I guess, a good thing that they're making him dish the ball around, right? They're not having one big focal point of the offense. But also, I think it always is nice to have that 1A receiver. So that it's a little bit concerning. And then CJ Stroud's development, I think this year is kind of chalk it up to rookie quarterback, new head coach, right? We're still learning, we're developing. You're not really looking for numbers in the win column, but you're looking for tangible pieces of film that's like, all right, this is what we were at the beginning of the season, and look at how much better we are at the end, right? That I think is what is going to make this a successful season, and that all starts here in training camp, and you can kind of see the makings of that start in training camp.
Well, and they have to the foundation, I think. Sorry, I agree. The expectation is super low. Just want to see incremental improvement, like learn from your mistakes. But you're right. What CJ Stroud has around him, he's got 6 to 7 good pass catchers. You know, that thing he can build rapport with, and definitely they'll be able to provide enough consistent route running where I think you can go and see that development, and provide that development. On top of that, the offensive line. Oh, sorry, I was just going to say.
I was going to say offensive line and Dameon Pierce we haven't mentioned yet.
Well, I was going to say they have a decent offensive line around it. Both tackles are pretty good. They do have Shaq Mason now. They drafted Juice Scruggs. He's going to probably be your plug-and-play center immediately from day one. Kenyon Green, it can only go up from here. I think he was the worst rated guard.
Yeah, he was like 63rd of 67 qualifying guards.
Yeah. It can't get any worse. Unless if you don't play enough snaps to where you're not even graded, then I guess that's worse technically. But like they have the foundation for a team. I think there's going to be some struggles for sure, especially in the beginning of the season. Just kind of getting your feet wet into the NFL. But that's like that for everybody. And then also too, then just having a weak defense. And that's where Demeco Ryans is really going to come into play. Is going to be his thumbprint onto the Texans defense and how just his philosophy of coaching defense and how that's going to be implemented here. So they obviously made the epic trade, go get Will Anderson. All that being said, it's just going to be kind of part of the process. I think they're going to be in good position, especially over the next couple of years, to draft good young, explosive players like what you talked about in your comparison with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, or maybe make some trades to get some guys. Because in general, they do have the foundation to be a very successful team in the NFL. It's just going to take some time, and it's going to start with who CJ Stroud is to.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, I think that is the foundation of it, right? Like for them to be successful later on down the road, they have to hit on the CJ Stroud pick. He has to be good. Yeah. And so like that to me is a big piece of it. But I like what they have going for them. They kind of remind me of the Jaguars in Trevor Lawrence's rookie season, where it's like, all right, they have some good pieces. They're good, not great, just about everywhere. And so they do have a better head coach than Trevor Lawrence did his rookie season.
Yeah, but, I almost feel I don't know why this feels similar to I think it's Zach. Well, then that same year, this feels kind of maybe a little bit like a Zach Wilson feel. Like kind of how is this offense going to go? Very low expectations. The defense was a little bit better, but I could see this being, if this pans out, I could see this being like 2 years, and it'd be like, okay, no, we have a winning team now because we've hit on a lot of other picks. Our defense is better, so I could potentially see it that way. Also.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I do think looking back at it, CJ Stroud is a better prospect than Zach Wilson. Granted, hindsight is always 20/20 on those things, but no, I like what they're doing. We kind of touched on Demeco Ryans a little bit as the head coach, but I'm excited to see what he does with this defense and Will Anderson. Derek Stingley Jr. is coming back, and he should be pretty healthy. He brought over a couple guys from the San Francisco defense that was so effective last year. And I'm actually looking forward to watching this team play because I think they're going to have a lot of really good young talent, and they could be really competitive in years to come.
Well, even then, too, just looking at the defensive line, adding Will Anderson and adding Sheldon Rankins, major improvement, already better. So, as I said, it'll be interesting to kind of watch as the overall changes and philosophical kind of view that Demeco Ryan has on the defensive side of the football, because that's where I'm assuming he's going to be spending a lot of his time focusing on the head coaching side. He's obviously going to have say on the offense, but I feel like he'll probably have much more decision-making power and say, well, he's the head coach. He has all the decision-making power, but much more say on the defense side of the ball and formations and who starts, who plays, and that'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, no, definitely. But let's go ahead and wrap up the Houston Texans training camp preview there. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and leave a comment down below on what you think the Houston Texans are going to do in 2023. Do you think they're going to be better than people expect? Do you think they're going to be competing for maybe that division? Or do you think that it's going to be a slow start for CJ Stroud and his career and Demeco Ryans as a head coach? Let us know down below. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.